God will cause to come down for you the rain, the former rain and the latter rain in the first month. Joel chapter 2, verse 23, KJV. Such is the nature of revival. It is not a random event, but an entire season. Drought on a Texas ranch. My wife and I once owned a ranch 70 miles northwest of Houston, in the foothills of the Texas Hill Country. Cattle grazed its verdant fields and slaked their thirst with big gulps from a large pond, called a tank in Texas. One spring, we and other ranchers awoke to the fact there had been no significant rain for weeks. A drought set in. I watched anxiously as the tank shrank until it was a mud pit and then a dry gulch. The green grass turned deathly gray. Rolls of hay that normally cost $40 now sold for $140. One day a little shower swept over the property. Hope rose in our hearts, but swift winds blew it away. The situation became so desperate that some people even wished for a hurricane. Though it was the tropical storm season, the Atlantic and the Gulf of Mexico remained quiet. We needed a season of rain. Eventually it came, and with it a great lesson. Don't mistake a brief shower for a monsoon. Spiritually, there are outbreaks here and sprinklings there, and we believe revival at last has come. We are satisfied with droplets when we need a drenching. We stop praying for revival, preparing for it, searching the horizons of heaven for it, and go back to our dry religious landscapes. Wales had seen intermittent spiritual showers many times. There are traces of the action of revivals in Wales from the first appearance of Christianity here, wrote H. Elvet Lewis. Revival in Wales, he said, reappears time after time. At special times, those intermittent showers linked to become regional revivals. The merging of the rains became a monsoon. The 17th century was a period of expansion and consolidation for the gospel, wrote Affion Evans. Welsh churches in the 17th century and again in the 19th, he said, experienced times of decline and inactivity, interspersed with revival periods of vigorous energy and spiritual prosperity. However, Evans noted, they were mainly localized. Leaders were notables in their region: Richard Baxter, Robert Murray McCheyne, and David Morgan. Affion Evans thought the 1830s to be the most exciting decade in modern history because God graciously visited America, England, Scotland, and Wales with powerful revivals. At first, they were intermittent and localized, but eventually they linked and became a monsoon of revival. In just a few years, they were fused into one mighty awakening, when whole countries and vast tracts of land were submerged in a surge of divine power and momentous spiritual upheaval. Leading up to the spiritual monsoon of 1904 to 1905 in Wales, Aberystwyth had been sprinkled upon in 1805, Bethgelert in 1817, Anglesey in 1822, Carmarthen in 1828, and Merioneth in 1840, to name a few. These were, however, local and failed to refresh the whole principality. Such a powerful move of God came in 1859, but it too eventually faded. As the 19th century neared its end, however, church leaders tended to be caught up in movements ranging from temperance and cultural reform to depriving individuals of the status and privileges of the established church, that is, the Church of England. All these seem to be a religious version of the progressive impulse of the Victorian era. These were worthy causes, but absorbed the time, energy, and talents of the finest men and women in the churches, so that direct evangelism, holiness, and the personal knowledge of God were neglected, wrote Welsh historian David R.J. Ollerton. This resulted, he said, in a spiritual vacuum in the churches. Wales is not like the Middle Eastern lands or the geographies of Asia that depend on actual monsoon seasons, but it did become a place of spiritual monsoons. Not only was it known as the land of song, but also the land of revivals, said David Matthews, an observer.